Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajaka Charjavajyasto Tarasata Sri Sriman Kuruchuramani Sabha Shastra Siddhantavit Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Nitya Leela Pravistam Vishnupad Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Rupanuga Gurudev ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda ki jai. Samadeta Vaishnava Mandali ki jai. Kol Kartel ki jai. Sri Harinama Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So welcome everyone to our Sunday afternoon program on the East London Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mart. We are continuing the discussion of the seminal works of our Gurudev Om Vishnupad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, and we are now on the Lord's loving search for his lost servant, and this week's chapter is Lord of the Cows. Maybe we'll also read the next chapter too, because it's quite short. Deve Varshati Jagya Viplavarusha Vajrashma Varshanilai Siddhat Palapashu Striyatma Sharanam Drisvanu Kampi Utsmayan Utpatyaika Korena Shalema Valo Lila Cholindram Jata Bibrad Gostam Apam Mahendram Adhabhit Priyo na Indro Gavam. This is from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, describing the Brahma Vimoha Lila. The very gist of the Govardhan Lila, the very substance of this pastime, is represented in this verse. The milkmen in Vrindavan used to observe a sacrifice to satisfy the king of heaven, Indra, at whose command the rain, clouds, and other subtle elementary powers move. The main wealth of the cowherd men is the cow, and the cow's main food is grass. Only rain can produce grass, and so the cowherd men used to perform sacrifice to satisfy the subtle power who is supposed to be in command of natural substances like rain. By satisfying Indra, favorable rains would come and there would be sufficient grass. The cows could then graze easily on the grass and generate milk profusely. The gopas, the cowherd men and their families, used to make different preparations from the milk, sell them in the marketplace, and in that way earn their livelihood. As the grazing ground in one place was finished, they would move from one forest to another, only for the purpose of obtaining grass for the cows. Krishna's father, Nanda Maharaj, and the cowherd men would wander from one place to the next. In this way, they lived sometimes in Vrindavan, sometimes in Nandagram, and sometimes in Gokul. Once, Krishna wanted to assert himself and modify the worship of Indra. He wanted to establish his own domain, Vrindavan, in its pristine glory. Although he was only a boy, he was a boy of extraordinary capacity. He was only 7 years old. But in the Padma Purana, it is said that the development of growth of special personalities is 1.5 times that of ordinary persons. Although Krishna was only 7 years old by ordinary calculation, he was 11 according to the general calculation. Krishna said, "Why should we perform this sacrifice to Indra? We have a direct concern with Govardhan Hill and not Indra." He announced this idea to the Gopas, and somehow, willingly or reluctantly, the Gopas submitted to the advice of Krishna. Nanda Maharaj was influenced by affection for his son, and because he was the king, he told them, "This time we shall worship Govardhan Hill and not Indra." And so the Gopas, the milkmen of Vrindavan, followed Krishna's advice, some reluctantly and some willingly, and they began the sacrifice for Govardhan Hill. This news reached Indra, who thought to himself, "A boy of special capacity lives there. Now he has taken the leadership of Vrindavan and stopped this ancient sacrifice to me. For a long time it was the tradition of the Gopas to perform sacrifice to satisfy me. And now one boy is the cause of stopping any sacrifice." He was very much enraged. Indra ordered the clouds and the wind and the lightning to attack the residents of Vrindavan. According to Vedic understanding, all the elements are personified. In ancient days, the Aryans and the Raja Rishis, elevated human beings and great sages, used to see everything as persons. They saw everything in a personal way. They thought of the creepers, the trees, and everything else in the environment as persons. They understood that they were all persons who, according to karma, are wandering throughout the different species of life. Once I was told by a professor of biology about alternatives to Darwinian evolution. I advised him that evolution from consciousness to matter may be understood on the basis of Berkeley's theory. Whatever we think of is really part of our consciousness, and consciousness means person. Guru Maharaj's simple but perfect logic. So whatever we think of is really part of consciousness. And consciousness means person. Srila Guru Maharaj said, once I was maybe on the train or somewhere, but anyway, he was overhearing a debate, 2 men debating, and one man said, "I believe that God exists." And the other man said, "No, I don't believe that God exists." And this way they are like debating, arguing with each other. And Guru Maharaj, he said, couldn't help overhearing what you said. And he said to that man, that you say that you doubt that God exists. He said, yes. He said, so my question to you is, does the doubter exist? So the person who doubts that God exists, does he exist? Yes. That's me. That's me. So then my question is, explain how you exist. Explain your consciousness, how you have consciousness. Where does consciousness come from? This is Guru Maharaj's line of thinking always. He brings everything back to this point that everything is happening within consciousness. Our consciousness and the supreme consciousness. So there's subjective reality and super-subjective reality. And we are all objects within that super-subjective reality. Now we're thinking of ourselves as the subjects and everything else as the object to us. But the reality is that he is the super-subject and we are all objects to him. So this is a different way of thinking. But it comes down to consciousness. And Guru Maharaj says, consciousness must mean a person. Without consciousness, there's no such thing as person, and without person, there's no such thing as consciousness. Everything that we may be conscious of is a person. We may think of the wind as an inanimate object, but it was thought of in the Vedic line as a person. Lightning, wind, clouds, and rain are all persons. Whatever we consider to be elementary matter, gross and subtle, were all considered by the ancient seers of the truth to be persons. Indra commanded the wind, the clouds, and the rain to go and devastate the whole area of Goloka Vrindavan. The residents of Vrindavan have insulted me, he said. They have rejected me, have stopped worshipping me, and are instead worshipping that mountain, that hill of Govardhan. I can't tolerate this insult. Go and devastate them. By the order and wrath of Indra, the master of all the higher subtle elements, heavy rain began to fall. And so thunder, hail, and rain simultaneously attacked the whole of Brajamandal. Consequently, all the residents of Vrindavan were thrown into a great disaster. Misery, pain, and sorrow afflicted the animals and the protectors of the animals, the Gopalas. So the helpless, the women, children, and animals of Vrindavan had no alternative but to take refuge of Krishna. They all came to Krishna for relief, and they cried, "O Krishna, now what are we to do? You influenced us to stop the sacrifice meant for Indra, and now Indra, being vindictive, has begun to afflict us in this very heavy way. How can we live? Please save us." They all came to Krishna for protection. Seeing this, Krishna had much pity for them. Being merciful upon them, he smiled a little, thinking, "They have all come to me for relief." At that time, with only one hand, Krishna lifted up the Govardhan mountain. For him it was a very easy thing. With only one hand, he uprooted the hill and lifted it up as a child lifts a toy ball. And holding up that great mountain, Krishna gave protection to all those who were living in Gokul. The men, women, and children of Vrindavan bought the cows and all their worldly goods and took shelter beneath Govardhan Hill. This is also an answer to a philosophical question. One basic philosophical question about the existence of God is, if God is omnipotent, means all-powerful, can he make something which is so heavy that he can't lift it? So it's a trick question. If you say yes, he can, then the reply will be, that means there's something that God can't do. He can't lift that thing. He's made it so heavy that even he can't lift it. And if you say no, he can't, then they say, that means there's something that he can't do. So he can't be omnipotent. But Guru Maharaj's reply, and this is illustrated in the Govardhan Leela, is that the Lord can make something so heavy that he can't lift it, and then he'll lift it. Because he's never static, he's always increasing. His potency always increasing. So this in philosophy they use this. They call it the unstoppable force and the immovable object. How do they relate with one another? So, the whole cowherd society was given shelter under that hill. In this way, by lifting Govardhan Hill, Krishna gave protection to the residents of Vrindavan and crushed the pride of the Lord of Heaven, Indra himself. And so, Nanda Maharaj prays in this verse, "May that Lord of the cows be satisfied by us." Who is Indra when compared to Krishna? Krishna is the master of Indra, and yet he has appeared as the master of cows. The supreme absolute truth has accepted a simple position as the keeper of cows. Superficially, he is a mere cowherd boy, but let that cowherd boy, who holds within him the power of controlling the whole universe, be satisfied with us. We want to worship that Lord who has taken the humble position of the king of cows. From this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, we can understand the position of the Lord's pastime at Govardhan. It is also described here that when the Brajavasis worshipped him and engaged in sacrifice for his satisfaction, they saw Govardhan Hill as the supreme person, extending his hands, accepting the things offered to him, and feeding himself. At that time, Krishna pointed out, you see, you thought that Govardhan Hill was only a heap of stone. No, it is living. It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At that time, Krishna revealed himself as Govardhan Hill and showed how it is also his extended self, according to the authorities in our line. Radha Kund is the extended self of Srimati Radharani, and Govardhan is the extended self of Krishna. And so we worship a stone from Govardhan Hill, a part of Giridhari, as Krishna himself. We may understand from this that a part of the infinite is also infinite. And yet so feeble is our ordinary vision that although Govardhan Shila is a part of the infinite, and therefore also infinite, to our material vision, it is only a piece of stone. This pastime shows that a thing may appear to be ordinary stone, but its possibility is infinite. In the general sense, Einstein's theory of relativity has announced that anything we see is that thing plus something more. In his own scientific way, he explains that the reality of a thing includes its possibilities, its prospect, because reality is not at a standstill. Reality is not limited to what is seen or conceived by our senses. Our vision or estimation of anything may be limited, but unknown to us. Its prospect may be unlimited. Everything has infinite possibility. We do not even know what infinite possibility a particle of sand may have. We do not know what sort of possibility may exist within a leaf of a plant. It may appear ordinary, but it may contain invaluable medicinal properties. A part of the infinite is also infinite. The Govardhan Shila represents Krishna as the master and keeper of cows. Within Govardhan is that mild and soft conception of God the Beautiful. We beg for his mercy, his affection, and his gracious glance upon us. That may save us from the negative influence of this material environment. When we try to put a stop to our material form of life and take our course towards Godhead, Krishna consciousness, neglecting the imperative duties that are upon us, so many difficulties may come to trouble us, to trap us in our journey towards the ultimate truth. But if we stick to the order of Krishna, he will protect us. Krishna confirms this in Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma shuchaha. He says, abandon all other conceptions of duty and just surrender unto me. Have no fear. I shall protect you and free you from all sinful reactions that might arise from neglecting your ordinary duties. Different material tendencies and mental impulses may attack us. Even Indra himself, the king of heaven and the controller of all ordinary activities, may attack us. But if we are attentive toward our goal, if we are careful to read the order of Krishna, he will protect us in the shade of his lotus feet. He will give us shelter under the shade of Govardhan Hill, where no Indra will be able to touch our heads. And with full faith, that Krishna will give us protection. We should try to take shelter under Govardhan Hill and pray, O Krishna, Give me protection from all the difficulties that may come to attack me because of my leaving behind my ordinary obligations. Although many anomalies may try to catch us, Krishna will protect us. And in his representation as Govardhan Hill, that wonderful master of cows will save us from all sorts of difficulties. How is this possible? God works wonders. His ways are unknown and inconceivable. So in Chaitanya Saraswat Math we have very intimate connection with that Govardhan Leela in many ways. Because that place that Guru Maharaj chose as his place of bhajan in Navadvip, that very place is considered to be Gupta Govardhan, or the hidden Govardhan. Is told in Navadvip that fully Vrindavan is represented in Navadvip. And so everything that exists in Vrindavan also existing in Navadvip. And in Navadvip, the Govardhan Hill, that is where our Guru Maharaj's Chaitanya Saraswat Math is built at Gupta Govardhan. And Guru Maharaj, before coming to Navadvip to begin, the last part of his life, he went first to Govardhan Hill and with the permission of the Lord, he took the one Govardhan Shila and brought that with him to Navadvip. So in the beginning, Chaitanya Saraswat Math, just the Govardhan Shila and Gunjamala of Radharani, Guru Maharaj was worshipping that every day. And from that, everything came from there. And that also when we began this London Chaitanya Saraswat Math, the sannyasi who was in charge, he had one Govardhan Shila, and we were worshipping that. That's this Giriraj here on the altar today, same Giriraj. And we had two later on we had two, and the other Giriraj Govardhan, when we opened the new centre in West London, he went there. So there's always some deep connection, and also we have in Vrindavan, of course, in the Govardhan area, that Chaitanya Saraswat ashram, which Daita Das Seva Kunj in Govardhan.
This picture has a connection with the Govardhan.
Yes, because of that. Actually, this was designed by Srila Govinda Maharaj. And this is above the entrance to our Chaitanya Saraswat Math in Navadvip. But it's all in Sanskrit or Bengali. But I translated it, had it translated into English, and we made it in English. So then, but this idea, it's actually to illustrate the verse underneath. Mattala Harijana Kirtana Range, Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bange. This verse was conceived and composed by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur at the time of the opening of the Bagbazar Gaudiya Math, which is to be the flagship temple of Saraswati Thakur in Calcutta. Before that, they had a rented house in Altadanga Road in Calcutta, and then this is in Bagbazar, and it's about half an hour walk. You can walk from the Altadanga Road where the rented house was. You can walk from there to Bagbazar in about half an hour. So when the mott was ready and built and everything, then the deity that was installed in the Altadanga Road was taken by chariot and procession of Sankirtan from there to the Bagbazar. And for that momentous occasion, Saraswati Thakur, he composed this verse, but a little different to how it has come here. It was Matala Harijana Bishaya Range, Pujala Raga Patagora Babange. But when Srila Gurudev asked Guru Maharaj, we can put this above the entrance to the temple, and Guru Maharaj said yes. He said, but I want to modify that a little bit, because it's very difficult for the general people to understand Matala Harijana Bishaya Range. Because Bishaya means like ordinary enjoyment. When I was in Calcutta for doing collection for Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Govinda Maharaj would send us to offices and different places with some lead or some appointment, and we would meet. If we were lucky, we would meet the manager of that place. Always they'd have like some secretary, and their job was like to keep you out, make sure you didn't meet with the manager. But sometimes they were good people, and we met with them. But always, when we would ask them, please, you give something for our Guru Maharaj, and please come to our temple and join the festival. This was like this way, not just for canvassing money. We wanted also to engage them for like ongoing connection with our modern mission. This way, and always. They're Bengali people. They would say, Ami Bishoyi. Like, I'm an enjoyer. I'm not my life is engaged in mundane enjoyment, Bishoyi. So, and I remember as a young boy of about 19 or 20 then. And I'm thinking, I used to think, it's an excuse. They're making some excuse. And they would say, I have no time for spiritual life. Always doing business, doing my job, everything. And I used to have myself, not at that time, no family, no children, no obligation. I'm thinking, why they're saying that, Ami Bishoyi, I have no time for spiritual life, all these things, then. But later, when I became married and had a family and had to have a job and all these things, and then I also thinking, I have no time for spiritual life anymore. Always working. So now I have a little more sympathy with them. Now it's come the other way. My kids are grown up now, then kind of becoming free of that. But I understand that. So Srila Govinda Maharaj said the general people will find it a little difficult to understand this line, Matala Harijana Bishaya Range. That means like by doing the things that we do, we will become, we will worship the Lord. And actually it's true, but it needs a little subtle intelligence to understand. Because it means, like, everybody's cooking, right? Everyone's cooking something for their family, everything. But the devotee, they're cooking for the Lord and then taking the remnants of that. So looking the same, but different. That's why, the brother of Professor Nishikanta Sanyal, he was a great scholar of Gaudiya Math. Narayan Das Adhikari, his name was. And his brother came to stay in the temple, and he asked him, what do you do all day? What do you do in the temple all day? And Professor Sanyal's reply to him was, nothing that you can understand. We don't do anything that you understand. And he said, no, I see you're doing everything exactly the same as we're doing. We're eating, you're eating. We're sleeping, you're sleeping. Whatever we're doing, you're also doing, but you're just doing it here. And Professor Sanyal said, no, you are mistaken. You are mistaken. And he said, no, I have seen. You're eating chapati, rice, dal, everything. I've seen that. And he said, no, we are not consuming anything. We are honoring Krishna Mahaprasadam. But you cannot see the difference. You cannot understand the difference. You're eating with the consciousness of a consumer consuming, then I'll become strong, I'll be able to do, all the things I want to do in my life. But we are the opposite of that. We are honoring Krishna's Mahaprasadam and living on that. We are not thinking it is food. We are thinking it is the Lord's mercy. And this is the difference. So this way, Vishaya Rangi, they're eating, we're eating. But the difference is in consciousness. That's the difference. Everything is in consciousness. So the difference is consciousness. The non-devotee, the materialist, they're thinking that they're the center and everything is meant for their upliftment or for their benefit. And so they're consuming, or as Guru Maharaj would say, exploiting. They're in the plane of exploitation. But the devotee, he's not seeing the things, the same things as objects for exploitation. He's seeing those things as ingredients for the service of his Lord. So that's a subtle but important difference between the mentality of a devotee and the mentality of a materialist. There's no consciousness of consumer, being a consumer of elements. Rather, they utilize those elements and offer them for the service of the Lord. This is the difference. So anyway, so that's the meaning of that. Matala Harijana Vishaya Rangi. But Srila Govinda Maharaj said, the general people, they won't understand that. So he said, I want to change Vishaya to Kirtana Rangi. Matala Harijana Kirtana Rangi. Pujala Ragapata Gora Bhavangi. That by engaging in Kirtan, we worship that Ragapata, the higher realm of spontaneous devotion, pure devotion. And Guru Maharaj agreed, and that line is there above the temple, like that. So then Guru Maharaj and Govinda Maharaj's inspiration was, this is Gupta Govardhan. So we can show Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill, and the devotees underneath there doing kirtan to worship that, like that. And this way, many, connection with the Govardhan Leela of the Lord is in Chaitanya Saraswat Mat particularly. So, and when I asked Guru Maharaj that I can worship a deity in my house, then I wrote to Guru Maharaj at that time, and Guru Maharaj, the reply I got back, Guru Maharaj said, Harinam is our deity. No other deity is necessary. But if you want to do some like Archan, Puja at home, we will discuss when you come. He said like that, So later that year, 1985, I came to Navadvip for Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja. And Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja is usually like October, November, and it's just before Govardhan Puja. Is it before or after? Before, I think it's before, yeah. So then I came and I was thinking, already I had, from many years at home, some brass Gaunitai deity, and also some wooden murti of Jagannath, which I made myself and painted myself. So I was thinking that I'll worship them if Guru Maharaj gives permission, worship them. So then when I came to see Guru Maharaj first time when we arrived there, then I said, oh Maharaj, I wrote a letter to you asking you about worshipping a deity in my home. And you said when I would come, we would discuss. And Guru Maharaj kind of like almost dismissed, yes, I will consider. And he kind of like, brushed it off. Then I thought, okay, I'm not going to mention again. If Guru Maharaj doesn't mention, I'm not going to mention again. So then after some days, then it was the Govardhan Puja day, the Anukut day. And Guru Maharaj gave a very nice lecture, similar to this one, on that morning, early in the morning. And after the lecture, then we're going back to our rooms. And then Guru Maharaj's secretary, Bhadrinarayan Prabhu, he came looking for me. Oh, Guru Maharaj wants to see you. He said, Guru Maharaj wants to see you. I said, oh, okay. It's a little bit worried, you know. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I was caught, whatever it was. Then, anyway, I went up to Guru Maharaj's room, and he's sitting in that, you know, that plantation chair with the big wooden arms. And on that, one of those arms, there was like some white cloth and a small, like maybe this size, Govardhan Shila and some mala there next to that. So I bowed down to Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj said, oh, you wanted to worship, do some archan seva in your home? I said, yes, Maharaj. And I was going to say, I was thinking, you know, Gaurnitai, and, you know, then he said, my Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he liked his householder devotees to worship the Giriraj Govardhan Shila. Then he said, so I'm giving you this Govardhan Shila. And then I was worried. I was thinking, oh, worship of a Shila, you know, then maybe that's difficult. And so there's the Govardhan Shila, and there's also some mala made from clay from Radha Kund. So that is considered to be non-different from Srimati Radharani. And also sometimes they're worshipping, like here, with the mala made from the Gunja mala. It means the Gunja trees that grow in Radha Kund, the seeds of those trees, they make a mala from that. That's also considered to be non-different from Srimati Radharani. And also sometimes the Govardhan Shila without the mala. There's, Guru Maharaj explained there are two forms of Govardhan. One is as Haridasa Bhajam. That means the greatest devotee of Krishna is Govardhan, because he provides everything for Krishna's satisfaction and for the satisfaction of the cows and everything. So that Govardhan is Krishna alone. But he also showed, Krishna showed that he and the Govardhan are identical, one and the same. So in that case, then he's worshipped along with either the Radha Kunda Mala or the Gunja Mala as non-different from Radha and Krishna, and the divine couple. So this Guru Maharaj gave me, and I said, oh, I didn't know how to worship him. I said, how do I worship him, Maharaj? And Guru Maharaj said, it is hard. And I heard, it is hard. I thought, oh no. And I said, it's hard? And Guru Maharaj laughed and he said, no, not hard, heart. He said, Krishna is a collector of hearts. He likes hearts and not so much brains. Then I thought, okay, that'll suit me down to the ground. Then I said, how do I worship him? He said, very simple. Just every day give some tulsi leaves and water. That's all. And I said, oh, only that. And then he said, whatever you eat, you offer first to him. Oh, okay. Then I said, should I bathe him? He said, no, not necessary. I said, but if you want to, you can. And I said, oh, but whatever I'll start, I have to maintain that every day. And Guru Maharaj said, no, it is family deity, household deity, according to your necessity, family necessity. You can worship like that. All right, and then he gave me, and he's still living in our home, or rather we're living in his home, trying to serve him as best we can. This is, very intimate connection with that Govardhan Leela, Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, Guru Maharaj, Gurudev. Once we went to the Chaitanya Mat in Mayapur, and they also have Govardhan Hill there, in the temple gardens. And we went with one lady from South America, And she's very, very chatty, you know, always telling everything. And then when we left, she's very quiet, not saying anything. And we're going on in the rickshaw, and then she said, look, and she pulled out, she said, I took it from the Govardhan Hill there. She'd taken one of the Govardhan Shilas from that, and we said, oh no, Didi, you shouldn't do that. And she, yes, and no, you have to go and give it back. You know. So we had to go back, and I found the priest, the pujari, and I told her, give me, and I said, this lady, one of our devotees took this in her enthusiasm, you please excuse her. He took it back. Because actually, with any deity of the Lord, it should be sanctioned by your Gurudev or Vaishnava. And the proper way to receive the Govardhan Shila is to be given that by a Vaishnava. Significant Vaishnava, of course, better. And we've, always keeping that worship of Giriraj Govardhan. And some intimate connection with the Lord there. And of course, Guru Maharaj's mot, Gupta Govardhan. So, Guru Maharaj telling a part of the infinite is also infinite. How we can understand that. And Mahaprabhu gave to Raghunath Das Goswami the Govardhan Shila, and also to Sanatan Goswami. And it is different to the Shalagram, the Gandhaki Shila. Gandhaki Shila, a very different kind of worship. That is Narayan of Vaikuntha, and very Vidimarga worship. And really not suitable for most of us. Because it must be done at the exact time, and you have to tell the exact mantra, and you have a very exacting service. Otherwise, you're in trouble. But Giriraj is infinitely merciful and kind and forgiving, which is good for us. We are not so qualified. But actually, we are thinking that way. We are not so qualified that we can worship Narayan, but we are worshipping Krishna. But we should not think, therefore, that Krishna is less than Narayan. Krishna is more than Narayan. But Krishna is always in the mood of merciful mood, or gracious mood. And Ragamarga, Srila Govinda Maharaj said, Ragamarg is very suitable for the Western devotees because they cannot follow Vidhi. That means all the rules and regulations, everything. But having said that, we should not therefore become Prakrita Sahajya, imitationists, thinking, oh yes, my relationship with Krishna, that is very high, and and in a very casual way. We should still worship the Lord reverentially. And as much as possible following the rules and regulations of Vidimarga. But knowing that our Lord is very forgiving if we are unable to, come up to the standard. He is not so concerned about all of that. So this way. And when you see that painting, or some depiction, maybe you see here. Yeah, you can see there, in that diorama, the coward men, they're also using their sticks to try and prop up the hill. As they're thinking, oh, Krishna is a little boy, maybe his arm we should help, so they're trying to hold the hill with their sticks, and Krishna's laughing, thinking, if I remove that, it's all finished. But they're thinking like that. We have to do our bit to help. And that's also instructive to us, because we know that Krishna is not lacking in anything. He doesn't need anything from us. He doesn't need our stick to prop up the Govardhan hill. But nevertheless, we try to serve and satisfy him. And that is our necessity. It's our necessity to try to satisfy Lord Krishna. And that will be for our benefit. And Guru Maharaj would say that virtue is its own reward. So that just that you are trying, that is, be satisfied with that. And Krishna sees that. Not so much the result or the outward thing, but what is the heart of the devotee. Hare Krishna. So I think we should read the next chapter. Unless someone has a question about that or wants to say something about that. So the next chapter is called Brahma's Illusion. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the ultimate cause of all harmony, is so wonderful that simply by approaching him, we will be charmed by his ways. He is known as Arukrama, for his strides are wonderful, unthinkable, unknown and unknowable. There is no end to his wonders. Thank you. Ascharjavat pashyati kaschidinam ascharjavad vadati tataiva chanyaha. At every step towards him, one feels wonder. We feel no end to that feeling. Krishna is infinite. He is the wonderful wonder of wonders. As much as we search him out, we will find no end to his wonders. Guru Maharaj's expressions are always like poetry. At every step towards him, one feels wonder. We find no end to that feeling. Krishna is infinite. He is the wonderful wonder of wonders. As much as we search him out, we will find no end to his wonders. Even Lord Brahma, the creator of this universe, and the original guru of our sampradaya, was astonished by the wonders of Krishna. Once, when Krishna was living in Dwaraka, he heard that Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, had come to see him. Krishna asked his messenger, "Which Brahma?" When the messenger put this question to Brahma, Brahma thought, "Are there other Brahmas as well?" "How is it possible?" He told the messenger, "You just informed Krishna that I am the father of the four Kumaras, the four-headed Brahma." The messenger went to Krishna with the news. "Yes, show him in," Krishna said. Knowing Brahma's temperament, Brahma went in, but he was astounded to see that so many Brahmas had gathered there from all of the universes in the creation. There were 100-headed, 1,000-headed, million-headed Brahmas, all present there. Because the whole creation is based on Krishna's hypnotism, the four-headed Brahma could see Krishna and all those other Brahmas, but the other Brahmas could not see each other. Each one of them saw only Krishna. Each one of them thought, "Krishna has come in my universe and called for me out of some necessity." But the Brahma of this universe could see everything because he had inquired, "Which Brahma?" What is the meaning of which Brahma? Are there any other Brahmas? I wonder. In this way, Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, was baffled by the wonderful ways of Krishna. Previously in Vrindavan, Brahma had also had some doubt about the position of the Lord. He thought, "Who is this cowherd boy? His ways are very questionable. He moves in such a way that it appears that he doesn't care for anyone. He is within my Brahmanda, my universe, but he does not care to know me. What is this attitude? Who is he? He is not Narayan, only Narayan is above me, and I am a little accustomed to his ways and manners. But this boy is not Narayan. That anything can exist above Narayan is impossible. Then who is he? To test Krishna, Brahma took away the cowherd boys and calves accompanying him and hid them in a cave. After a year, he returned to see how life was continuing in Vrindavan, to see how Krishna was doing without his calves and cowherd boys. And he found that everything was just as before. The Lord, surrounded by his cowherd boyfriends, was carrying his flute under his armpit and a morsel of food in his hand. He found everything going on as it had been. Then Brahma began to think, what is this? Have the calves and cowherd boys come back without my notice? He again checked the cave where he had hid them and found that they were all there. Then he thought, how is this possible? I stole the calves and cowherd boys and hid them there, and now that I have returned, I found they are all still here just as before. Finally, perplexed, he fell at Krishna's lotus feet, praying, my Lord, I could not recognize you. You have come to play such a plain and ordinary part, that of a cowherd boy. How can anyone believe that you hold an even greater position than that of Narayan? Please forgive whatever I have done. In many places in Srimad Bhagavatam, we find Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, being tested by Krishna. And still, Brahma is our Gurudev. He is the original Guru of our line. That he could become bewildered is so perplexing and difficult to understand that Madhvacharya eliminated that section from Srimad Bhagavatam. He could not accept those 2 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam where Brahma was under illusion, where he had some misunderstanding about Krishna. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted everything in tota. This is a very peculiar thing. How can the original Guru of our Sampradaya become bewildered about Krishna? It is achintya, inconceivable. Still, everything is intelligible through the philosophy of achinta beda beda tatta. Inconceivable oneness and difference. So Guru Maharaj says that this word, achintya, is like purposefully Mahaprabhu has used this when describing his teaching. Not just Beda Bed. And Nimbarka Swami also taught Beda Bed, something similar. But Achinta Beda Bed. And Guru Maharaj points out that using this word Achintya means inconceivable. It means you can't understand by your intellect. He said this isn't just something that like a device that we use to like brush over the grey areas. Something we don't understand. It's a chintya. We can say inconceivable, whatever we don't understand. No, not that. But rather it is essential to our understanding. The acceptance of this principle of achintya, that the Lord is inconceivable. Only if he reveals himself to us can we know him in any way whatsoever. So it's actually fundamental to Mahaprabhu's philosophy, this principle of achintya beda beda. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, all the other Vaishnavacharyas, they've all given vad. There's Shuddha Dvaita Vad, Vishishta Dvaita Vad, Dvaita Vad. The different vads of the different Vaishnavacharyas. But vad means theory. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, but Mahaprabhu, he's not given Achinta Beda Bed Vad, but Achinta Beda Bed Siddhanta. And Siddhanta means conclusion. So all the others have given Vad, and Mahaprabhu has given Siddhanta, and within that Achinta Veda Ved Siddhanta, all of the Vads of the other great Vaishnava acharyas is harmonized within that. And harmonized by this word Achintya, as they want to express some facet of that we can conceive. But if we accept that ultimately Krishna is inconceivable, Achintya, then everything is harmonized in that. So, where are we?
You know, Brahma got 4 heads, so you can say you can have 4, 6, or 4 heads. Different space is a different.
Yeah, in this universe, because in this universe we have 4 directions.
Yeah.
But in other universes, again, Achintya to us, they have many, many different dimensions, different directions, and that is inconceivable to us. But in those universes, this universe is a very small universe. And so the Brahma is small. but to us, he's vast. So how small are we? We're like ants running on a wheel. What are we compared with him? So then Guru Maharaj says, how can we accommodate that our original Guru became perplexed, not only once, but twice? That is Lila, a divine pastime, an example of Achintya Beda Beda Tatta, is found in the way Krishna deals with his devotees. Krishna himself is independent of everything. Still, sometimes he shows himself to be completely subordinate to his servants, and must do whatever they want him to. Then again, sometimes he completely ignores them. These are the spontaneous pastimes of the sweet Absolute. Sometimes he shows absolute submission to Srimati Radharani, and again, sometimes he ignores her. This is the very nature of Krishna's Leela. Rupa Goswami has supplied a verse from his Ujjala Nilamani as the basis of the proper understanding of Krishna Leela. When we think about the pastimes of the Absolute, we, the finite, will have to wear this armor, Aheriva Goti Premna Shabhava Kutila Bhavet. We must understand that Krishna's pastimes are naturally crooked, just like the movement of a snake. A snake cannot move in a straight line. He moves in a zigzag way. The waves that flow from the Absolute move in the same way. That characteristic of Krishna Leela is always maintained above everything else. Krishna can never be ruled by any law. With this initial consideration, we should approach any study of the Absolute. We must always keep in mind that he is absolute and we are infinitesimal. He is adhoksaja, transcendental, beyond the world of our experience. Once I asked our Prabhupada, meaning Saraswati Thakur, why is there a difference between Sanatana and Rupa in their conception of the final part of Krishna Leela? Sanatana closed his summary of Krishna's pastimes in his Krishna Leela Stava in Mathura, and Rupa took it another step towards Dwaraka in his Lalita Madhava. He wrote 2 plays dealing with Krishna Leela, one about Dwaraka and one about Vrindavan. Bidagda Madhava takes place in Vrindavan, and Lalita Madhava takes place in Dwaraka. But Sanatana Goswami liked to complete Krishna's pastimes in Mathura. According to Sanatana Goswami, after a long separation between Krishna and his family and friends, like a wheel, the pastime moves from Mathura again to Vrindavan. After Krishna has gone to Mathura, the residents of Vrindavan, overwhelmed by separation, begin to think, Krishna has been gone for such a long time. Nanda and Yashoda have lost their child. The separation intensifies and develops further until they begin to think. Okay, so the separation intensifies and develops further until they begin to think, oh, Nanda and Jashoda have no child. Then they think, they must have a child, and begin to pray for the appearance of Krishna. Then Krishna appears as the son of Nanda and Jashoda. The cycle is complete, and everyone is happy, thinking, oh yes, Jashoda has got a child. In this way, Krishna's pastimes again begin developing in Vrindavan and move to Mathura, where he kills Kamsa. In his Krishna Lila Stava, his summary of Krishna Lila, Sanatana Goswami did not take Krishna into Dwaraka from Mathura, but Rupa Goswami in his play Lalita Madhava showed the parallels between Krishna Lila in Vrindavan and Krishna Lila in Dwaraka. And so in his Lalita Madhava, Rupa Goswami draws a parallel between Lalita as Jambavati, Radharani as Satyabhama, and Chandravali as Rukmini. In this way, he shows the transformation between Vrindavan and Dwaraka. I asked Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada about this difference between Rupa and Sanatan. He simply said, it is adhogsaja, beyond our understanding. So Krishna Lila is ununderstandable or achintya. Everything is not bound to come within our fist. The Supreme Lord has all rights reserved. This must be understood if we at all want to be in connection with that plane of reality. So, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva. It is a defect to want to understand everything about divinity. Knowledge may be a qualification here in this world, but in relation to the transcendental truth of the highest order, the tendency to want to know everything is a disqualification. We want to know the value of everything. We want to have the key to everything in our possession. But this is really a bar to our progress. If we assert ourselves in this way, we rather lose what confidence we might have in divinity, and there will be some delay in extending the key to us. If a servant, upon getting employment in the master's house, is very eager to be entrusted with the house keys, then the master will suspect him. So to want to know everything is a type of disease. It is an enemy to our progress. This is, of course, difficult to accept, but still it is true. Surrender is everything. What cultivation of knowledge do we find in the gopis, the most exalted devotees of Krishna? What was their acquaintance with the scripture? Nothing. What we understand to be standard purity, what we think to be knowledge, all these things are disqualifications in giving pleasure to the Absolute. An example of how our misconceived standards of purity and chastity are a disqualification can be seen in the following story. In order to prove the supreme position of Srimati Radharani, one day Krishna appeared to suddenly fall ill. As he lay sick, he came in another form, disguised as a physician, and he said, "Oh, Jashoda, I have heard that your boy has caught some disease. Is it true?" Yes, who are you?" "I am a physician, a mystic physician. I would like to see your son. What is his disease?" "He fainted. Perhaps he has a headache." Then Krishna, in the dress of the physician, told Mother Jashoda, "Oh, this is a very serious disease. I want to cure him, but I can only do so if I can have some water bought in a porous pot. Some water should be bought from the Jamuna in a pot that has many holes in it. Only a chaste lady can do this. A chaste girl must bring some water in a porous pot. With the help of that, I shall give some medicine to this boy, and he will come to consciousness immediately. When I was in Ireland recently, for the inauguration of our new centre in Limerick, we had a fire jugga, and one couple, Indian couple, they bought a very nice earthen pot, and we use that pot. We paint some swastika on it and put water with many auspicious substances, and with a coconut and some leaves on top as part of that. So they bought that, and we did all of that, but the pot was porous, and so all the water just came out through the sides of the pot. So I understand what is a porous pot. Then we had to use something else instead. So then Jashoda madly began to search Vrindavan for a chaste lady. Jyotila and Kuntila were Radharani's mother-in-law and sister-in-law. Because they naturally preached that there was doubt or suspicion about the chastity of the other girls among the gopis, they themselves were generally considered to be very chaste. So Jashoda appealed to one of them. Jyotila, first, take this porous pot and fetch some water from the Jamuna. How is it possible to fetch water in a porous pot? Is impossible. No, the physician says that if one is really a chaste lady, then she can fetch water in a porous pot. Now in Krishna's Leela, that Jatila and Kutila, they're always criticizing the other girls, and especially Radharani. Oh, they are not chaste girls. They're always running in the night to who knows where, doing who knows what, like that. Not like us. We are very chaste. They're always like this. So they have some reputation of being very chaste ladies. No, the physician says that if one is really a chaste lady, then she can fetch water in a porous pot. So Jyotila could not avoid the mad request of Jashoda. Her request was so intense that she had to go, but she could not fetch water from the Jamuna because there were so many holes in the pot. Then Kutila was requested to fetch water in the pot, but she dared not venture to try it, seeing the attempt of her mother. Still, Jashoda was so earnest in her request that Kutila also could not avoid the task. Jashoda couldn't tolerate for a second that her son was in such a condition, and so her request was so intense that Kutila also had to go. But she could not fetch water either, because there were so many holes in the water pot that the water just poured through. They were astonished, thinking, what can we do? Among all the girls in Braja, not a single chaste girl is to be found? What a horrible thing. So Krishna, in the garb of the physician, singled out Radharani, saying, I think that she is a chaste lady. Request her to fetch the water. And at the request of Jashoda, Radharani could not avoid the task. She had to go fetch water, but she was thinking of Krishna. If you come to my relief, then only it may be possible. Otherwise it is impossible. She prayed. Radharani dipped the porous pot in the water as Krishna touched the pot from within the water. And Radharani, with great suspicion, took the pot from the water, and in great wonder she said, the water is there. She had taken some of her maids, the Sakhis, her chief friends, with her, and they were all astounded to find that she drew the water from the Jamuna. The holes were there, but still the water remained within the pot. So she brought the water to Jashoda, and everyone was astounded. And that water was with some fictitious medicine was given to the boy Krishna, and Krishna arose from his unconscious state. That was a tactic by Krishna to show the position of Radharani, to show what chastity is. What is chastity? Ordinary chastity is not real chastity. Real purity, real chastity is far above all relative considerations of chastity. And that is inconceivable beyond our knowledge and reason. Just as how a porous pot can contain water, it is a miracle. But God works wonders. His ways are filled with miracles. We should be prepared for that. We should be prepared that all the knowledge of this world, all our experience will prove to be wrong. So it is said, Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva. Be clear of your past experiences. What you have drawn from the world of the senses, empiric knowledge, pratyaksha gyan. Your tendency will always be to try to push your way into the transcendental world on the strength of your mundane knowledge. But this verse is saying, you fallen people, your capital is the experience of this world, of the senses, but it won't do. It won't have any value in that higher plane. What is found there is a new thing. So approach that world with an open mind. Understand that everything is possible with the infinite. All your expectations, your past experience has no value. Why don't you give up trying to dodge this point? The transcendental world is something quite new to us. It is very difficult to get out of this superstition of so-called truth here. But still, it is necessary that we accept that anything and everything is possible with God. He is the master of impossibilities. Possibility and impossibility are found only in our dictionary. Yet even Napoleon wanted to remove the word impossible. He said impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. How are we to understand that the original guru of our sampradaya becomes bewildered? It is impossible. We must suspend our knowledge. Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva. We may take it that Krishna is playing hide and seek, perhaps with Brahma, our Gurudev. It is like a game of hide and seek. Sometimes Krishna is defeating others, and sometimes he is defeated. When Krishna and Balaram are playing with their friends in the jungle, they generally play in two groups. Krishna is in one group and Balaram in another. Krishna is considered to be less strong than Balaram. Balaram was the strongest person there, and the next strongest was Sridhar. So Sridhar used to play on the side of Krishna. Whenever Balaram was defeated, he would become enraged. Krishna would diplomatically help his own team, and when Balaram saw that his own team was disloyal due to Krishna's tricks, he would turn to his younger brother Krishna and say, I shall punish you. But Krishna would say, no, you cannot punish me. Mother Jashoda has entrusted me in your care. You can't mistreat me. One day, Balaram slapped Krishna, but Krishna went to Mother Jashoda and told on him. Balaram was very disturbed and said, I slap you once, and you complain to your mother that I do not love you? Krishna, how could you do this? At last, Krishna was perplexed and accepted his defeat. So Krishna Leela moves in a crooked way. Aher eva gati premna. This fundamental point, the foundation of our understanding about Krishna Leela, has been given by Rupa Goswami in this verse. He says, don't be eager to find reason everywhere in the pastimes of divinity. They are naturally crooked. In Krishna Leela we shall find that although no party is defective, still one will find fault with another and begin a quarrel. No defect can be found there, But still, for the necessity of Leela, false defects are found, and some quarrel begins. This is the meaning of Leela, pastimes. What we find here by necessity flows there automatically. We can try to apply our reason of our standard of measurement to the movements of the infinite. We can't try. We can't try to apply our reason or our standard of measurement to the movements of the infinite. And whatever gain we have made by connecting with that flow of Leela will be lost in our attempts to measure it. That will be the only consequence of our analysis. So we should try to have a taste of that Leela with a submissive attitude. Sometimes reason, logic, and analysis are necessary, but only to preach to the people in general who have a lower understanding. Only for the purpose of preaching to people addicted to reason do we have to take the help of reason. But when devotion becomes automatic, anurag, then both reason and scripture are left in the subterranean position. There is no place for scriptural arguments there. To a certain extent, reason is necessary for our development up to Vaidhi Bhakti, the elementary stages of devotion. But above that, it has no use. Anurag bhajan is automatic. That is the nature of Leela. Aher iba goti premna. Everything there moves by his sweet will. Sweet will means that it is not a fixed program. It moves in such a way that we can't say it will pass by this road. When the Maharaj of Mysore used to drive into town, he would not speak to his driver, giving him directions which way to go, because if any fixed program was arranged, then his life might be in danger. So whenever he would come to a crossing in the road, he would touch his stick to a particular shoulder of the driver. If at a crossing the Maharaj wanted to go to the right, he would touch the driver on his right shoulder. In this way, he would never disclose which way he would go, but only at the last moment he would beckon the driver to take a particular course. So Krishna's divine movements are kept in reserve by his sweet will. All rights reserved. We want to search for some law above his sweet will, but this is inconsistent. It is self-contradictory. On the one side, we say that Krishna moves by his own sweet will, but on another side, we try to find some law governing his movement. This is a contradiction. Leela moves by its sweet will. When we say it is Leela, then we can't give any shape to that. We can say that it was shown in a particular place, in a particular way, but we cannot be sure whether today the same course will be taken. This is why we find differences in the explanations given about different Leelas in different ages. Jiva Goswami has explained that the reason for different descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord in the Puranas is because at one time the Leela was played in one way, and another time it was played in another way. So we find differences even in the explanation of the same pastimes. Scholars may challenge, why is it that somewhere in the Padma Purana the Leela is mentioned in this way, but the Bhagavad Purana reveals the description in another way? Why does Haribangsa differ from Mahabharata? We say that in different kalpas or ages, the pastimes are enacted in different ways. In infinite ways, a particular Leela of the Lord may be represented within this world, because he is infinite, independent, and absolute. So leaving aside all doubts and suspicions, we shall be most generous in approaching the absolute, free from all inhibitions. We shall approach him with that spirit and try more and more to leave aside our past prejudices and precedents, the records of our past experience. when I was in India many years ago, I found this book in the bookshop, and it was the Mahabharata. So I didn't have a copy of Mahabharata then. So I bought it and I started reading it. But in this Mahabharata, when Maharaj Parikshit is cursed by Shringi, the Brahmin boy, to die from the bite of the snake bird within 7 days, in this version, he doesn't go to the banks of the Ganges and meet with Shukadev. He builds a tower and hides in the tower, and no one can enter the tower to try and stop the snake bird coming there. And so his food is like put in a basket, and no person can go there. So then in this version, the basket goes up, and that snake bird, is it Takshaka or something? I think. Anyway, he takes the form of a worm and goes in the apple. And then when Maharaj Parikshit bites the apple, the worm comes out, becomes the snake bird, and kills Maharaj Parikshit. So when I read that, I thought, oh, this is bogus. I thought like this, you know. But I asked Guru Maharaj, I read this, and Guru Maharaj said, yes, this is known as the Aryan Mahabharata, and it gives the same account, but in a different kalpa. And I said, so you mean in another kalpa, there was no Srimad Bhagavatam? And he said, yes, that's right. In this age, Srimad Bhagavatam appears because Lord Krishna appears as Swayam Bhagavan, but not in every kalpa it appears. So then we can understand that there's difference, and maybe we heard it one way and thinking must be in the other way. Like downstairs, somebody gave us a gift. Maybe you've seen on the glass a painting with Krishna playing his flute. And normally, when Krishna plays his flute, he's like this. But in this picture, he's like this. And one of the devotees said, oh, it's bogus. You see, Krishna doesn't hold his flute that way. He holds it the opposite way. And then I thought about that, and then I said, does that mean he can't play the flute the other way? He can only play one way? They say, yeah, well, you always see him in that way. Yeah, but can he play the other way? Must be able to, huh? If he wants to, he can play. Anyway, my friend told me, we was discussing last week about Mahaprabhu's mango tree. He planted the tooth stick in the ground, and immediately a mango tree grew. But the mangoes, no stone and no skin, just the pure fruit. And he's distributing to his devotees after Sankirtan. And my friend from Calcutta, he told me, no, that's impossible. It cannot be mango, because mango has a big stone and a skin. It must be some other fruit. I said, oh, but you don't think that the Lord, he can float all the planets in the universe, and then they're all floating there. He can create everything, but he can't make a mango that has no skin and no stone? He said, yeah, of course he can. So that's what a mango is by doing. Okay. But that, we can do something, but Krishna can do anything. He has no limitation whatsoever. And Srila Govinda Maharaj, he said, when he was in Hawaii, he said that one of the devotees in their garden, they had a tree, and on that tree, maybe 5 different fruits growing on the same tree. Like apple, peach, pear, all different. And the devotee had grafted one tree to it, and that's just by material horticulture. Gurudev said, I was amazed to see 5 different fruits all growing on the same tree. So then we can understand, if even we can do something like that, then Krishna, he can do anything at all.
And also the reason of devotee.
Yeah.
Because what kind of conscience they have.
Indeed. So where are we? He is infinite, independent, and absolute. So leaving aside all doubts and suspicions, we shall be most generous in approaching the Absolute. Free from all inhibitions, we shall approach him with this spirit and try more and more to leave aside our past prejudices and precedents, the record of our past experience. We shall approach him remembering that he is still living. It is not a stereotyped thing. We should not expect only what was done once before. If we expect the same thing, it will only reassure us by its repetition that he is not a living thing. That divinity is under historical law. Should we think that in the past he showed himself in a particular way, so he is compelled to show himself in that way always? Is he not living today? Can he not show anything new? At every moment, every second, he can show everything in quite a new way. So our heart should open wide when we approach the highest authority of the absolute plane of play. That means surrender must be increased to no limit. Surrender is limitless, and his play or leela is also limitless. With that sort of deep vision, we shall try to read his leela. So although Brahma and the other gods and gurus and the givers of many shastras may have given some description of his pastimes, we shall have to realize that Krishna's pastimes are not bound by their descriptions. Krishna is not confined within a cage. So for this reason, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not hesitate to give a description of the bewilderment of Brahma Vimohana Leela. Brahma was bewildered in Krishna Leela in Vrindavan. And again, when Brahma went to have an interview with Krishna in Dwaraka, we find the same condition, the boundary of the sweet will of the infinite. Excuse me. The boundary of the sweet will of the infinite is such that anything can be accommodated there. And even Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, can be perplexed by Krishna. All these pastimes are like so many lighthouses, showing us which way to go. Brahma is our guru, and he was bewildered by Krishna. And Vedavyas, the universal guru, was also chastised by Narad. Narad was put to the test many times. All these examples are showing us the way. They are pointing out that the direction, and it is said, Shruti Bir Vimrigyam, the authentic books about the revealed truth are only showing the way. They say, go in this direction. Where? We do not exactly know, but you may go in this direction. They are only showing the direction. All the Shrutis, the guidance given by the scholars of revealed truth, give some direction. Go in this way, in this direction, and perhaps you may find it. Krishna says, Vedaścha sarvamaham eva vedya. All the Vedas are intended to reveal me, the infinite. They mean to show how the infinite is moving. If I analyze one atom within my fist, I can analyze it again and again and reanalyze it to no end. It is already within my fist, but still it is infinite. So it has been said that we may get the maximum benefit by surrender. Krishna says, give up all your prejudices and the limitations drawn from the limited world and be open. Then it will be easy for the infinite to cast different shades of light on your soul and your knowing faculty. And then it will be easy for you also to change your plane of understanding, cleanse your glass, the mirror of your heart. In connection with the infinite, you will find that everywhere there is center, nowhere circumference. But to realize this, you must try to live in eternity, in Vaikuntha. Kunta means measurement, and Vaikuntha means no crookedness, no limit, no measure. That is Vaikuntha. When Krishna opened his mouth, Jashoda was astounded to find the entire universal creation. Jashoda was nonplussed. What do I see? The whole universe? The infinite in the finite. At that moment she almost fainted, but then her cat cried aloud, and Krishna, as if he was very much afraid of the sound of the cat, caught hold of his mother out of fear. Then at once Yashoda's apprehension disappeared. She thought, oh no, he's my son. There's no representation of the infinite within him. He's my son. And she embraced him. When Brahma took away the cowherd boys and calves, he thought that he had created some want in the Leela, but he came to find it flowing just as it had been. Not even the least part of it had been disturbed. Krishna had expanded himself to become the calves and the cowherd boys. When Krishna himself took the form of all the calves and cowherd boys, then the mothers felt an infinite type of affection, so much so that they could not understand, but were rather entranced, thinking, how beautiful these boys are. And the cows were also mad to show their affection to those calves. Then Brahma thought, have those cowherd boys and calves that I have stolen away come here stealthily to join him? Again he went to see where he had hidden them, and he saw, no, the boys and calves are where I kept them in the caves of the mountain. They are there. Again he returned to where Krishna was, and saw everything continuing as it had been. At that time Brahma surrendered and was reassured. He spoke the following prayer. No midyate bharavat pushe taditam baraya gunjavatangsa paripichala samukaya vanyasraje kavale vetra vishana venu lakshmashriya mridupade pashu pangajaya. I offer my prayers unto you, O praiseworthy Lord, who are the child of the cowherd Nanda. Your complexion is the dark blue colour of a thundercloud, and you are clad in silk garments that shine like lightning. Your charming face is adorned with gunjamala ornaments, and your hair is decorated with a peacock feather. You look beautiful, wearing a garland of forest flowers, and that beauty is enhanced by the morsel of food in your left hand. You carry a buffalo horn and a stick for herding cows, tucked between your left arm. You hold a flute and other emblems, and your feet are as soft as a lotus. This is a general meaning of this verse, but the internal meaning of this verse, however, is this. O Venerable One, we submit our prayers to you. Who are you? You are unseeable, unfeelable, unknown and unknowable. Your complexion is the colour of a black cloud, and therefore you are very difficult to see. But you can be seen because of your yellow garb. Yellow is Radharani's colour, so only by the help of Krishna's potency can it be ascertained who he is. Tadit means lightning. By the help of lightning we can see a black cloud at night. So although Krishna is unknown and unknowable, his potency can reveal him to us. Brahma says, you are the venerable entity I have come to know. Now I bow down to you. Your body is like that of a black cloud. And that is some mystic representation. Black generally cannot be detected, but your dress of yellow colour helps us to know what you are. It is carrying some similarity to the yellow dress of Narayan. Your black body and yellow dress hints towards the personification of Narayan. You are unknown and unknowable yourself, but your yellow dress, your potency, makes you known to us. And you come down to our level as if you were one in our position. You are dressed as a cowherd boy, playing in the jungle with a lump of foodstuffs in your hand. That deceives us in ascertaining who you are. And you adore ordinary things. Even the garland that you wear is collected from ordinary jungle flowers. Your taste appears to be for lower things. And all these signs are misleading us. You take a morsel of food in your hand and run after cows. That is a sign of being low class. The higher caste people like Brahmins and Kshatriyas cannot move like this or behave in such a way with their food. The instrument that you carry, a bamboo flute, is also unsophisticated, and your stride is short. All this is misleading us to have a lower conception of you. You are hiding yourself. So how can we understand you? What fault is there on our part, then, for not recognizing your supremacy? It is difficult to accept that you, Krishna, are the master of everything. You have so many plain ornaments. We don't find anything that is gorgeous or filled with splendor here in Vrindavan. We are accustomed to find these things in Vaikuntha. But this is new. You have come here to show your playful pastimes. Here in Vrindavan we have come across a new conception, and it is wonderful, plain and charming, plain, yet most attractive. With simple, ordinary things you have decorated yourself. But you are so extraordinarily charming, it is impossible to understand and to describe. Generally in this world, the position of cowherd boys is of no real significance. They represent the lower section of society. But here in Vrindavan, such a position is so wonderful and charming that we find you are all attractive, hypnotizing us. And your movement is very slow but sure. Your movement is such that you don't care for anything else in this world. Though you are in a lower position, your posture is such that apparently you don't care for anything of this world. In you we find the highest conception, garbed in a very plain way, but a very wonderful way. In connection with you, things of ordinary value become charming. Although I am the creator and have created everything, I fail to understand this sort of creation. I am proud that I have created so many things in the world, but I am overwhelmed to see the beauty of the environment here in Vrindavan. Here your movement is slow but sure and beautiful. You may be the son of that human being who keeps the cows. This is not a very high status in society or in the scriptures, but it is the nature of your personality. But whatever you do, you make it hold the highest position. What is this? Whoever you may be, my vanity is defeated. I take refuge at your holy feet. I surrender. Please help me to understand what you really are. In this way, Brahma surrendered, and so Krishna is beyond the understanding even of the creator of the universe. He is infinite. And he is infinite not only in the consideration of space, but also in the consideration of time. He is infinite in every sort of consideration. Infinite. His infinite potency is represented in consciousness, in existence, and then in dealings of love. The scriptures give us three conceptions of the infinite: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. The Brahman conception is all-comprehensive, infinite. Whatever we can conceive of is within it. Paramatma is the smallest of the small, Anor Aniyam. Whatever you can conceive of that is small, it is smaller than that. And the Bhagavan, or personal conception of Godhead, is of two types. One is as the master of infinite majesty and power, and the other is of absolute sweetness. Jiva Goswami has given the essential meaning of Bhagavan in his Bhakti Sandarbha. He says, Bhagavan Bhajaniya Sarva Sad Guna Vishishta. By Bhagavan he describes this aspect of the infinite. Bhajaniya, worshipable. When we come in touch with him, then we want to surrender ourselves for his satisfaction. That type of infinite. There are various types of infinite. The highest conception of the infinite is Bhajaniya Guna Vishishta. He is so beautiful and attractive that he is attracting all to surrender to him. No other conception of the infinite, neither infinite space, nor time, nor anything else, can approach this highest conception of the infinite, the all-attractive infinite. All the other aspects of the infinite time, infinite space, infinite power, they are all external. But infinite love, which attracts love and self-surrender, is the highest type of infinite, and that is Krishna. Attraction is the most fundamental element everywhere. All else can be eliminated and forgotten if we come in touch with attraction and love. Everything can be ignored if we are to connect with love. The fulfillment of our existence, of all existence, of everything is love. Love is the principle in the center, which is only fulfillment of all existence. The very gist of existence is there. It cannot be ignored or challenged by any other forms or aspects of substantial existence. It is unchallengeable and absolute. Whatever we may experience, the most central need for fulfillment remains love. The absolute king of everything is love. Nothing can stand in comparison with it. Coming in clash with the principles of love, all will have to accept defeat. Mahaprabhu pointed out that this is the most substantial thing in the world. Madhvacharya, in his conception of how one should see the Acharya, the spiritual master, could not harmonize Brahma's bewilderment. After all, he is the Sampradaya Guru, the foremost Guru of the tradition, the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya. So Madhvacharya omitted these 2 chapters of the illusion of Brahma from Srimad Bhagavatam, but Mahaprabhu did not. He accepted Sridhar Swami's edition, which is in accordance with Shuddha Dvaita philosophy of Vishnu Swami. The Vishnu Swami Sampradaya are followers of Ragamarga, spontaneous devotion. Sridhar Swami included these 2 chapters with his commentary, and Mahaprabhu accepted that, and it is corroborated in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Madhvacharya could not accommodate the idea that Guru may be seduced. He could not tolerate that Guru may not know everything, may not be omniscient, but Mahaprabhu could. Well, that's the end of that chapter. So we can stop there today.
So Brahman is different in different space, or?
Yes. Different universe, different Brahman. And it's said sometimes, it is told, when Jiva first comes to the world, he comes as Brahma, and then go from there onwards. But who can say? And what world and what anything? Everything is infinite. This universe is like a mustard seed in a sack of mustard seeds. Then if you're taking your mustard seed sack home and a few drop out, you won't even stop to pick them up. That's how insignificant we are ultimately. And in this world where we are, Brahma, 4-headed Brahma. Hare Krishna. Guru Maharaj said he was giving a lecture once, and at the Brahma Samaj, they invited Guru Maharaj, he gave a lecture, and after he finished the lecture, one man came up and said what Guru Maharaj was speaking about. He said, "Oh, if the infinite can be known by the finite, that's not infinite." In other words, you are talking about the infinite, but if we, the finite, can know the infinite, then it's not infinite. He was this way, he thought he was being very clever, and Guru Maharaj replied to him, if the infinite cannot make himself known to the finite, then he is not infinite. So by our constitution and right, it is not possible for us to know the infinite. The finite cannot know the infinite. This finite cup cannot contain an infinite amount of water, Cannot contain anything more than comes to the brim there. And so us, as finite jivas, we cannot know the finite, the infinite. Impossible. But the infinite has such power that he can make himself known to us if he wants. He can show himself to us in such a way that we cannot resist him in any way. This is the nature of the infinite. And we're dealing with that infinite. But that infinite is not an impersonal infinite. He's a person. Like Krishna says to Arjuna in the Gita, I am the infinite, the cause of everything existing within me. But at the same time, I am sympathetic to you. I am your friend. So this is our solace, that when we come to deal with the infinite, especially as Krishna comes to us as our friend, sympathetic to our plight, to help us, to raise us up, to bring us to him. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuro mami vaishasi satyam te pratijani priyoshime. This tells Arjuna that become my devotee, give your heart to me, give your all to me. Do everything you do as an offering to me, and you will come to me. This is my promise to you because you are priyoshime, dear to me. You are dear to me, so you will come to me. And that is, of course, Arjuna is Krishna's Parshada. His name is Krishna Shaka, right? Arjuna. But in the context of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is our proxy. He represents us, the fallen soul. So when Krishna says, you are priyoshime, you are dear to me, he's not just saying to Arjuna, he's saying to all of us that we are dear to him. Because we are all part of his creation. We are all part of Krishna. Then every part of Krishna is dear to Krishna. So we can, and Guru Maharaj said, expanding on that, he said, and you can believe me, Arjuna. And if you can't believe me, who will you believe in this world? Who will you believe? So when I say that if you become my devotee, you will come to me, you can believe it. And that's very simple. Krishna is very straightforward in Gita. He says, if you Daibiyesha gunamayi mama maya darachaya. If you understand that my janma and my karma, that if you understand that they are transcendental, not like the janma means his birth, karma means his activities. If you can understand that they are daivi or divine, everything about Krishna divine, if you understand that, if you accept that, you need not come back to this world again. You can go to be with Krishna. He gives that. He says, no one can cross Maya because she's my divine energy. But if I tell her withdraw, she will withdraw. Then you can easily cross. The acharyas have given the example that the ocean of nescience becomes no bigger than the print, water contained in the print of a cow, a calf's hoof print. Very small, you can easily cross over that. By the grace of Krishna, who is Sharanagata, who surrenders himself to the Lord, heart and soul, he must go to Krishna.
But Arjun, it took a long time Arjun to find out who Krishna is. He shows in Divya Sarup, I'm created.
Actually, this is for us, really.
Yeah, for us, yeah, come on.
He's showing that for us.
Yeah.
To show who is that? Who is Krishna? Then in Bhagavatam also, Vedavyas says, Chavishnu, when he's describing Krishna, Chavishnu, because he wants us to understand that Krishna is not different from Vishnu. He is the supreme Vishnu. So we should not think that he is less than Vishnu. He is more, actually. The origin of Vishnu. But Vedavyas wants to show to us his position of divinity. And this is very wonderful thing that we are able to have some connection with this conception. What Mahaprabhu is given, Anarpita chirim chirat karune vartana kalo samarpayita manuto jalarasam sabhakti shriyam. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is told. What you have given, no other avatar has ever given. Not even Krishna himself has given what you have given. So Krishna showed his Madhura Leela, but in a closed group, in the Vrindavan Leela. And it is recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam, but it is not widely known to everyone. Because there's no mention of it in Mahabharata, of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. Maybe one or two places hinted. And the main place where it is mentioned, in the Vastraharana of Draupadi, when they try to remove her cloth to humiliate her and the Pandavas, and she threw up her arms and called to Krishna. But Guru Maharaj said, when she called, "Hey, Gopijana Ballabha," then Krishna cannot resist. And that is reference to Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. Gopijana Ballabha, lover of the gopis. Then Krishna could not resist. He had to give her his protection. And Guru Maharaj said, this is the highest part of the Mahabharata, even higher than Bhagavad Gita, the Vastraharana of Draupadi, her surrender to Krishna. But other than that, there's no real mention of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela in Mahabharata. And Srimad Bhagavatam is like a closed discussion, if you like, relished by Krishna's highest devotees. But Mahaprabhu, he came and broke the gate to that, and distributed that to everyone. That very highest thing, Madhura Leela of Krishna, is not understood by anyone and everyone. But Mahaprabhu wants to distribute that to everyone in the right way, in the proper way. So therefore Krishnadas Kaviraj says, what you have given, no other avatar has given. Then you are the most magnanimous of all avatars. Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev. You have come to distribute that Madhurja Leela. Madhurja Leela, the highest Leela of Krishna. That is in the hands of Mahaprabhu, if you like, has become Udarja Leela. Udarja means distribution of Madhurja, or sympathetic magnanimity. Then Guru Maharaj says that if Lord Krishna himself, coming as his own devotee, wants to give to the fallen souls everything, what kind of coin he will use? Like if you are a rich man, you can't just give some rags in charity. You have to give something which is commensurate with your status, isn't it? If you are like really rich person, you give a few rags, it's not going to look good for you. You have to give something, and give what you consider to be valuable to the most needy. So what kind of coin is Mahaprabhu giving? He is giving Madhurja Leela of Krishna. That is the highest thing. And it is so wonderful, Krishna Bhakti, as distributed by Mahaprabhu. Krishna Bhakti is so powerful that it has made Krishna into a devotee of Krishna. As Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev, he himself comes as his own devotee to experience what it is to be a devotee of Krishna, and at the same time show us what it is to be a devotee of Krishna. This is Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev's Leela, and he has come to distribute that to everyone. And therefore, this is why we are here, sitting here. Just a few of us, we're thinking, oh, we are a very small minority religion. But actually, we are part of the majority. We just live in a minority area. Isn't it? Actually, you know, the majority of souls, they are all in Krishna's Leela. And only a small number of fallen souls here in this material world. But why? Why is there this material world full of fallen souls? So that Mahaprabhu can come and enjoy the Leela of rescuing the fallen souls. If there's no material world, where will he go to do that? So, in the ultimate analysis, that's why we're here. To be rescued by him. To take part in that Leela of Mahaprabhu's Audarja Leela. The whole material world is only for that. Guru Maharaj said that in the farthest vision. So then we are most fortunate. And this age, this Kali age, considered to be the most fallen age, or the most reprehensible age, it is told, because of Mahaprabhu's appearance, even the gods in heaven, they want to take birth in the Kali Yuga to take advantage of joining Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission, movement. So what to speak of us? The gods want to be part of that, then we should also try our best to be a part of that, not just only in word, but actually in deed. That is our fortune. We should try to realize our own fortune and not to spoil our fortune. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bhargya Ki Jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Shamadeta Vaishnava Mandali Ki Jai. Kol Kartel Ki Jai. Sri Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande.